Making the kids' letter coin banks is a lot of fun. And several years ago, I made one on the easel software, and it was an extremely popular video. People loved it. They made these for their kids, and it just turned out to be a great project. Well, recently, I've had several people ask, well, can you show us how to do this in the VCarve Pro? And they wanted to ask a bunch of different questions and going back and forth with the emails. And I said, let me do one better. Let me actually create the video showing you exactly how to do it using the VCarve Pro. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to take this opportunity to show you step by step how to create the file using the VCarve Pro and create that kid's letter coin bank. So this is the letter bank that we're going to be making, and we're going to use the letter S, just as I used in the easel video that I did several years ago. Now, if we take a look at the different toolpaths real quick. All right, so if we take a look at the actual cutout, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this inner portion, and now you can actually see exactly what it's going to look like. This portion over here is the back. And this is cut down 5/8 of an inch, and that means this will be 1/8 of an inch thick. This portion right here will actually glue on top of this portion right here. Now this also has a cutout so that you can drop the acrylic piece in, and you have the coin slot up here at the top to be able to drop the coins in. So this is the bank that we're going to make. Now I want to start over from scratch and show you exactly how I did it. I'm going to come up to this section right up here, and we're going to create a brand new file. And this is going to be a single-sided job. We're going to make this, let's just make this 20 inches on the x-axis, and we'll keep the 12 inches. Now the material that I'm using is 3/4 of an inch thick, and I am going to be working in inches. The zero position is going to be on the material surface, and I'm just going to use the bottom left-hand corner. Everything else will be fine. I'll click OK, and now we have this set. Now the first thing we need to do is be able to choose the letter. And the letter that we're going to be using is a capital S for our purposes today. And what you're looking for when you choose a font, you want a nice, big, bold font. So you can look through your different fonts and pick out the one that you want. If you chose one such as this, you would certainly want to extend it and make it fatter. But you can see how this becomes a very thin portion, and I don't like that. And you can look through, for an example, this Arial Black. And in this case, we would need to narrow this back down, and there's just really not a whole lot of character to this. And again, you have some interesting areas here. So you got to go through and choose which letter that you actually want. Now in my file, one of the letters that I found that I like really well was this one right here. It was the Rockwell Extra Bold. And that's the letter that we're going to use on this particular font. We have that brought in now. I do want this, let's just make it about 8.5 inches tall. And that will be good. We'll hit the apply, and we'll take and slide this over, and we'll just let it snap right in the middle, right about there. All right, at this point, we need to do some work, because one of the things, and I want to zoom in, this portion right here extends below the bottom. So we need to deal with this right up front, because if we don't, then this bank is not going to sit flat. So the first thing I want to do is come up to this icon, and I'm going to convert this from a text, and I'm going to convert it over to curves. So that is done. There we go. Here's my guideline, and I want to pull it right to that point. So if I zoom in, I'm right on that bottom line. And you can see how this letter S is sticking below that. So come over here to the node edit mode, and I can click on my S now. And all I need to do is just move that node right up to there. Just like that. That is now taken care of, and it's even across the bottom. Now I don't need this any longer, so I'll delete the guideline. And now I have a S that is flat on the bottom, that when it's sitting on the table, it'll sit flat. The next step is we need to be able to do an offset. And I want to highlight my S, and I want to use the offset, and I want to extend this outward. We're going to go out 3/4 of an inch. And I'll hit offset. So there is my outer perimeter of the S, and then this is going to be the inner portion. Now this portion is going to get cut out, and this actually is going to be the outer boundary of my project. So that is the basics for the bank right there. Now at this point, there's a couple things that I want to do. When this cuts out, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch bit, these areas right here will be rounded, and that's okay. I really don't need to put in a radius. I'm okay with that. Just let the bit do its thing and make this as an inside radius. But these tips right here, I do want to change. And the easiest way to do that is come over here to the fillet, and I want to be able to change this fillet radius. So we're going to change that to a 0.125. We're just going to do the normal fillet. And that way you can see how my icon changes. And I can just come over there and click on that section and click on that one. And that's really all I want to be able to do. That way as the coins drop in and over time, that is not going to break off that point. So I think that will work out real well. So let's close this now. And that's all I need to do to this portion. So I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to hit Control C, Control V. We'll slide this over. And we'll let that snap right there. Now at this point, I can actually start making toolpaths for this. I want to be able to cut this portion of the S down 5/8 of an inch. That will leave a wall thickness on the back of this S at 1/8 of an inch. So let's do that right now. Let's just have some fun. We'll go ahead and make some toolpaths and get this set up. So let's go over, we'll click this icon, and I'm going to click on this right here. This is the portion that I want to start out with, and I want to come over to the pocket. We're going to be using the start depth. It's going to be the 0, which is on the surface. We're cutting down 5/8 of an inch, which is 0.625. We are going to be using the 1/4 inch end mill and 9 passes. We'll just leave it at that. We could probably reduce that down, but I'm just going to leave it. And at this point, I want to rename this. This is going to be my number 1 toolpath that I'm going to be cutting out. And this is going to be my pocket. And this is with a 1/4 inch end mill. And we'll calculate that. Now at this point, let's go ahead and preview it. Now if I rotate that up, you can see how that creates that pocket 5/8 of an inch deep, and that will leave 1/8 of an inch on the back. Now let's bring up my toolpaths again, and I am going to click on the outside. On the outside of this, I want to be able to set up a toolpath, but this time I'm going to use the profile toolpath, and I'm going to cut all the way through the material. Again, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to be cutting on the outside. I want this to cut on the outside. And again, I'm not really worried about these 2 points. It'll just be rounded, and that'll be fine. So I'm going to come down. Everything else will be the same. I'm going to change the name to this. This is going to be my number 2 toolpath, and this is going to be the cutout. And this is the bottom. This is the bottom portion of my kid's bank. And again, this is with a 1/4 inch end mill. I think I need to hit the 5 instead of the 3. And then we'll calculate it. Now I'm going to reset this. We'll review all the tool paths, and you can see now how that will cut out, and that creates the bottom portion of the bank. That is finished. There is nothing else that needs to be done with this portion of it. So next, we're going to come back to the 2D view, and we're going to go over and start and look at the inside. This portion right here needs to be cut completely out, and we certainly don't want to use a pocket for that. So I'm going to highlight this portion right here, and we're going to use the profile toolpath. We're going to cut all the way through the material. We're going to use the 1/4 inch bit. We'll keep it at the 10 passes. I'm not going to change it. I want this though to cut on the inside. So we'll change that. And we'll leave everything else the same. But this will be bit number, or my toolpath number 3. And this is going to be to cut out and this is to cut out the inside S. And this is with my 1/4 inch end mill. So let's calculate that. So at this point, we'll reset it. We'll look at all my tool paths, and you can see how that is going to be cut out. In fact, I can get rid of it. Because remember, this portion is going to be glued on top of the other portion. So that takes care of this section. So let's close this out. Let's go back to my 2D view. And the next thing I want to be able to do is create an offset. I need to have space to be able to put in the acrylic sheet, and I need to have a pocket set up for that. So I'm going to take, and we're going to offset this using this line, and we're going to offset outward 3/8 of an inch, which is half of my 3/4. So let's go back over to the 2D view. So with this highlighted, I'm going to select the offset tool, and we want this to go outward. We want this to extend outward 0.375, and we'll hit offset. Now that takes care of that portion right there. And that looks real good. But there's one more thing that I want to do. When this gets cut out, I need to create another tool path right here to be able to cut just a little bit beyond this to be able to make a nice clean cut here. So I'm going to use this same exact tool path. We're going to use the same tool path right here. I'm going to offset that, and we're going to offset that inward, and we'll just come in about, well, close to a 32nd of an inch. Well, let's just go 0.032. That'll be fine, and we'll offset that inward. And you can see that's a very, very small line that's going to cut, and what that's going to do is create a nice clean edge right here. So at this point, let's highlight this tool path, and let's highlight this one. We don't want this one, we've already cut that one. And let's go over and create the tool path. Now this is going to be a pocket right here that we're going to cut out, and it's going to get rid of this area also, because you notice this is inside of that. So let's create my pocket. We're going to cut down. This time we're only going to cut down about 1/8 of an inch. That way, if you're using the acrylic, that's about a 1/16 of an inch, that'll work. If you use if you use an 1/8 inch acrylic, that'll work too, and it'll be flush with the surface. Still going to use my 1/4 inch end mill. 2 passes will be fine. And what this will be is, toolpath number 1, 2, 3. This is toolpath number 4, I believe. And this is going to be my ledge. And that ledge is going to be, again, with my 1/4 inch end mill. So let's calculate it. And you notice how this portion is gone also. So let's reset this. We'll look at all of my tool paths. And let's get rid of this. And you can see that creates that ledge all the way around. And that's what we want. And this center section is completely gone, and that's perfect. Now we need to be able to drop in our coins. So our coin slot needs to be right up here at the top. So let's go back over to the other section. We'll close this out. And let's come up here. Let's change the view. We need to create a slot. And the easiest way to do that is to grab the rectangle tool. And we'll make a rectangle. And let's just make this 1.5 inches on the x-axis. And we'll create. And let's close this out. Let's grab it. And we'll bring it right over here. Now we need this to cut all the way through. This will be gone, but we need it to cut through these 2 sections. So that will work perfect. So let's go back over now and let's take a look at this. We'll highlight this portion and we'll set this up as a pocket. Now I want to take this and cut it down 0.25 of an inch. If we left it at 1/8 of an inch, there wouldn't be any slot to put the coins in once you put the acrylic into it. So we're going to take this down 1/4 of an inch. We'll use the end mill, 4 passes. Again, I'm not changing the passes. And I want to change this. I believe this will be toolpath number 5. And this is going to be the coin pocket. With the 1/4 inch end mill. And let's calculate that. Let's reset everything, preview all the tool paths, and you can see how this is being developed one step at a time. And if you look at this, you can see how this is below that edge where the acrylic is going to be sitting in. So that's exactly what we want. All right, we have still one more tool path to be able to create, and that's the cutout of this all the way around. So let's close this portion. Let's go back to the 2D view. All right, so let's select this one, and we need to cut this on the outside. So we're going to do a profile tool path. We are cutting all the way through. We're using a 1/4 inch, 10 passes. Leaving it, I want this to cut on the outside. I want it outside of this line. And we'll come down and we'll do this as number 6. And this is a cutout. And that's the top. And that's the 20, okay, email, all right. Okay, so we have the number 6, this is the cutout for the top portion with my 1/4 inch end mill, so let's calculate it. So at this point, we'll reset, preview all the tool paths. Let's get rid of the outside edge. Get rid of that. And now you can see this is the bottom portion of our bank. This is the top portion. And again, you can see exactly how that's going to fit in. And that is the kids' bank using the letter S. As far as the acrylic, to be able to set up the acrylic, you just need to come back. Let's go back over here to our 2D view. You're going to need to use this line right here, and we will offset that in about 1/16 of an inch, and you'll create another workpiece to be able to cut out just that portion. But that is all there is to it, folks. So this is the kids' bank using the letter S, using the VCarve Pro to be able to cut this out. And you can do that with the 6 different bits, using all the 1/4" bits. Now, if you want to use tabs, of course, you're going to have to add tabs in here. I rarely use the tabs. All I'm going to do is put the tape down in 2 different locations to be able to catch this portion and to stabilize these 2 portions of the letter itself. Well, thanks a lot for watching this quick video today. I hope you was able to learn something, and I hope this answers the questions that so many of you have had on how to create that kid's letter bank using the VCarve Pro. Now, if you still have questions, by all means, down in the comment section below, please ask those questions, because now you have a video in the VCarve Pro and you have a video using the easel software, both of which hopefully will answer all the questions. But if there's still questions out there, please don't hesitate. Leave me a question down in that comment section and I'll do my best to be able to answer it. So again, thanks a lot for watching this video today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video on whatever project that I'm working on. So for now, bye-bye everyone.